Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful. Both Ilyan and also Maestro Jorge, beautiful. Those songs feed off and live off the sensitivity to where to take time, right? And where to move and where to be more rhythmical and where to be more episodic, if you want. So congratulations to both of you. Also, beautiful singing. I can tell you are in good hands. This is wonderful. Since so much about what we call Baroque music, and which actually starts pretty much with actually this very publication of Giulio Caccini, nuove musiche, the new music, right? Since so much of that is about words and about the fact that the music is actually subservient to the words. Let's have a quick debate, if you want, first about the poem. In your own words, not necessarily a translation, but who is speaking and what is she or he speaking in that song?
I understand that it's a man talking to the stars, and he's saying that please have mercy for to be loved by the woman he loves. So he's like telling this story to the stars, and he's like, please tell the woman that I love to love me back. So
absolutely wonderful. It's beautifully said. Yes, indeed, literally it is a man speaking, un infermo d'amore, it says, which means somebody who is sick from love, infermo d'amore. And but of course that can be changed, and we know that very often soprano roles, in particular if they were male, in operas were sung by male singers, and the cross-dressing was very common, if you want. So you could also say una inferma d'amore. That would be fine tune. But you are right. It's talking to the stars, and essentially asking for them to allow for the pity, excuse me, to allow for the pity or the mercy that the object of your love loves you back. So, the key word there is pietosa, so that you make her pietosa, come me fate amante, like you, the stars, make me a lover.
Yeah.
So, talking about that poem, how would you characterize it? Is it joyful? Is it bouncy? Is it would you find any sort of attribute there?
Well, I think it's like I don't know if I can call it sad, but it's more like I don't know. Hi, like pity.
Yeah, and I totally agree. There is a melancholy there, right? To that. I think it's also in the music. And some of it is in that ambiguity, and that actually applies to both of you, also Maestro Jorge's part, that ambiguity between G major and G minor, C major and C minor, you know, those chords. It's not really tonal in that sense. It's a little modal, if you want. If you look at it this way, what's the final note, and the first note you have is a G, right? So it's sort of a G, a kind of piece. And if you look overall, just at it, what's your highest note?
Let me see. I guess it's
F.
Yeah. Yeah, literally you have an F1 at come in fate amante at the very end, though it's very short there. I think the important note there is the me, the E. But usually the highest note for all of the beginning is just a D, right? It seems, imagine. And then for pietosa, you know, so it almost seems to fluctuate between G and D and go back to G and D. And could you just, with that in mind, do the very beginning from bar 1 to bar 5? So with that idea of a certain melancholy, a certain sadness, that you start on your final note also, and we have just the first phrase of 4 bars, essentially. Would you mind starting?
Yeah, sorry, from
From
which?
just bar from the beginning to, or actually maybe even better, we could go to bar 16. So that's until Viviardo, sorry, ardori miei.
Oh, okay. Desde okay. Voy a poner a respirar. Okay.
Sorry. That was a misunderstanding. Could you do it from the beginning up to there? So the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm very sorry.
Entonces hasta antes de empezar. Okay. Sfogava con le stelle un infermo d'amore sotto un attorno cielo il suo dolore e diceva fisso in loro immagine bella dell'idol mio cazzoro siccome a me mostrate mentre così splendete la sua rara beltate, così mostrate a lei, mentre cotanto ardete.
Yes, excellent. Very nice. Beautiful. In bar 6, after you say edicea fisso in loro, o immagini belle, and so on, what is happening there?
It's saying like he looks right into the stars.
Yes. Yes, it is also, it's a direct speech here, right? While everything you have sung until here is just, oh, here is the lovesick lover who sings to the stars. Here it's him singing. And I believe, immagine, it's very arioso there. So while the beginning has a little more of a telling, I would suggest be very, very singing, very cantando, also a precise with those intervals. Actually, can we go right from there, from the middle of 6, the D, the O immagine?
Like from the first O?
Yes, from the first O, and really think of it like an aria. Very, very, very legato and singing.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's start there one more time. Before you start, Maestro Jorge will give you a chord and start with inhaling, really, on the vowel, with the vowel in your mind and on the pitch, and then oh, immagini belle. So don't think so much about oh, immagini, about speaking, but This is really more of a line, and enjoy the vowels. Belle delido. You still have a lot of vowels to fill there. Could we do it one more time, please? So listen to the chord, inhale on the vowel and on the with the pitch, and start one more time.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Let's do it. Let's start again from mentre cottanto ardete. It's very nice. And then wherever you take a breath in the coloratura, Caccini, in his preface to Le Nuove Musiche, actually gives us as an option, if we have to take a breath where we don't really want to take a breath. So let's say that would be in your bar 15, right? Where you have those many notes. He suggests that a good point of doing it is before a dissonance. So for instance, in bar 15, that G is a consonance in the chord. But the following F in the middle of that bar would be a dissonance. So you could take a tiny little breath between the G and the F. His suggestion, actually, if I remember precisely, is if you have to take a breath where you don't really want to, but have to, if you do it right before a dissonance, or if the first note after your little breath is a dissonance, then it sounds much better. So if ever you feel like you may not quite make it to the end of that bar and that coloratura, take an auxiliary breath there. That's totally fine. And it could essentially be before any of those notes in that bar, as long as there are a dissonance. So as long as they are not G, B flat, or D. Before any other note, you could essentially take a tiny breath. Could we do it one more time, please, from the middle of bar 13, mentre cottanto. Sorry. Ilyan, there is a tiny thing that I would like to point out for you. Once you have the mentre cottante, I would think the N of mentre still on C, still on the C pitch, not on A. So mentre and not mentre. I'm not sure that you can hear that through the mics, but I hear a little bit of a glissando on between mentre, and try to think the N, the consonant N, still on the C, on the first pitch. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Super, beautiful. Could we could go even. Actually, could we do it, that would be even better, from the middle of bar 10. that's where you say the mentre così splendete for the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Take your time.
Oh, okay.
No, this is very good. This is very good. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And really, I love that you do the words, but keep it flowing and legato. Huh? Mentre così splende. Okay, great, beautiful.
okay. Mentre così splendete la sua rara beltate, così mostrate a lei, mentre con tanto ardete vivi ardori miei.
Yes, yes. Um, um, you have plenty of breath there, so trust yourself. For once, actually, just for the economy of using your breath for that phrase, it may help you, even though you go actually to the highest note, quite early in the phrase. I still think the important word is ardori miei. So, mentre cotanto ardete, I vivi ardori miei. If you could just keep in mind to, I hope this is not misunderstood, but to save a little bit of air for the beginning, for that I vivi ardo. And then even throughout that coloratura, yeah, just think the notes, think a new vowel on each note, but it doesn't need to cost you any air. Could we try that once more from the same spot? Mentre così.
Mentre così splendete la sua rara beltate, così mostrate a lei, mentre con tanto ardete i vivi ardori miei.
Yeah, very nice. Super, super. It's getting there. But it really keep that in mind, you know, not every day our body works the same way. And sometimes for whatever reason, we would need a little more breath there and don't have it. So just for your own safety, think of one spot within 15, before the end of 15, where you could take a little bit of a breath. We don't have terribly much time left. However, I would draw both of your attentions quickly to the very end, which goes back to what I mentioned earlier, which is that music is not tonal. It's not the G major, nor is it G minor, really. It's something that hasn't settled yet, if that makes sense. And a good example for that is the very end. Si come faramante, come come me fa, where you go to the E natural, and the subsequent F, which is then the highest note. But it's I don't know what it looks like in your edition. In my edition, it looks quite unspectacular, but in a way, it almost should have a double bar line there, because it's a little coda. It's something that's very really different. Just to feel that out, would you mind? Even if we could do only. Oh, sorry. Let's do the second La fareste col vostra ore sembiante. That's the middle of bar 21. Yes.
Okay. La fareste col vostra ore sembiante pietosa sì, pietosa sì, come me fate amante, come me
Yes, Ilyan, it was very nice. The little breath that you took in 27, in the middle of or after the middle of 27, is precisely an example of what Caccini said, right? Because the note after is an A, which is dissonant to the chord, so that works perfectly. I have one. Before I ask you to sing that last bit one more time, I have one final question. Why do you think the composer goes into that sort of major ending there at come me fate amante? Honestly, I don't know the answer either. There is probably many answers, but what do you think would be a possibility? You are saying, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Maybe it's because he's telling, like the final sentence is like he's telling you make me lover, you make me a lover. So I think he's like happy for that. So maybe that's why it's so, I don't know.
Yes, that's what I would think, you know, because the overall sentiment to the piece is, as you said, melancholic, sad, yes, in love, but not necessarily happily in love. But when he says that line a few times, 3 times, I believe, in come me fate amante, come me fate amante. And when he says it the third time, the last time, it seems quite happy or hopeful, perhaps. I don't know, something like that, right? So again, I think the brand new, if you want, about what we call Baroque brought into music is that human sentiment, really, and how it also can change, right, from sad to happy, or hopeless to hopeful, sometimes very quickly. As a matter of fact, and that would be an idea, Maestro Jorge, for you. I believe the change is actually already in bar 25 on the last quarter note. So ya bam bi da ram. When you go with that bass line, sorry, ya ba bi bi bi. Yes, I think that's where the come me fate or whatever the words could be there. So would you mind just doing the what we did before, like from the middle of 21? La fareste più.
Okay. La fareste col vostro aureo sembiante pietosa sì, pietosa sì, come me fate amante, come me
Yes, very, very nice. Only one tiny comment. Sorry, I can't stop myself.
Don't worry.
The N of again is the N of amante is still on the A. Voila. Yes, exactly. Yes. Very, very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
You. That
Thanks.
was so nice. I was very nervous at first, but now.
Oh, me too. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we can continue with Isabella.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, my name is Isabella Pestana. I'm 20 years old and I'm in third semester. And today I'm going to perform Amarili mia bella by Giulio Caccini.
Wonderful.
Nuove
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. Beautiful voice.
Thank you very much.
I don't know your voice department, but I have to say that it's you are only the second student I'm hearing, but not always do you find what I presume at this point and trust a good common sense of a healthy sound production. So there are many schools of music who who follow a different model there. So I'm very happy to hear that. It's beautiful. And this is tricky, right? Because of those vowels and all of that. And you do it really very, very nice. Listening to you, I just realized that he does a similar thing as in Sfogava con le stelle, where he turns to major in the very end for the last time, Amarili. So it's a maybe different meaning here, but a similar sort of trick if you want. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to address a couple of things, but maybe most importantly, I would like to discuss with both of you because it actually affects the accompaniment as much as it does the soloist. And it's, I think it's important to think the two parts in one. Maybe let's let's just remind ourselves, where does that come from? Or do you have any idea of, besides what I mentioned with Ilyan, which is that the words are now really important for the music, the text. I think Monteverdi said, prima le parole, poi la musica. So first the lyrics, first the words, and then the music. But there are also a few other aspects of a collection, like, for instance, le nuove musiche, which make them new, really new in their time. Do you have any, also the two of you, do you have any idea what that could be? What is so new about publishing a collection of songs with accompaniment? What were people doing at the time around 1600? What kind of music, vocal music, would you hear?
Opera?
Not quite. It comes together. So opera was invented actually with that. Okay. So it's basically le nuove musiche is kind of a step towards. And Caccini actually and his colleague Peri were the first composers to write operas as well at the same time. Monteverdi's Orfeo is a little later, actually. It's a few years later. But yeah, opera, but especially if you think about the 1500s, what kind of vocal music comes to mind?
Polyphony? Yeah,
exactly. And that's precisely the new thing. So while all the music up to then was polyphonic, essentially, as let's put aside folk music, which we don't have so many sources of, but the art music was polyphonic. But here comes a composer and writes just for one voice and accompaniment. So that's a big difference. It's a huge difference. If you think about it, and both of you again, imagine yourself in an ensemble of 10 people versus just the two of you. What is the big advantage that just two people have in comparison to a big group?
Well, maybe sometimes when you're singing with a lot of people, you can lose like the intonation sometimes, or
Yeah, that can be the case. Would be sad, but it can be the case. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm thinking more about what kind of music making you have. Think of a chamber group versus an orchestra. In an orchestra, you have to be a little more in tempo. There can't be too many liberties with that. You know, if it's a very good orchestra, very good conductor, and they have a lot of time to rehearse, yes, there can be more of that. But with just two people, you have so much freedom. You know, it's you can go forward or backward. It's relatively easy to react. And that's my other point here. So one aspect of le nuove musiche, the fact that it's new music, is the fact that it's just one voice and accompaniment. And the sister piece, actually, to le nuove musiche is a collection of sacred pieces by a composer by the name of Viadana, and it's called Cento Concerti Ecclesiastici, so 100 sacred concerts, and it's sacred music, but with the same idea, just one voice and accompaniment. But they all have their background. And while the pieces by Viadana, those concerts, have motets as their background, this piece, because it's Italian, so it's not Latin, it's in their language, has the madrigal behind it. And again, if you think of madrigal versus motet, motet is kind of, you know, whatever, something very measured and paced and flows along with not much changes, whereas madrigal is something where you try to actually illuminate every word, and every word has a funny harmony, you know, because of the meaning of the words, or the progressions are weird. And I think there is a lot of that in this piece too. So my main, and maybe with that idea or with that suggestion in mind, let's just do it again. But I think there are sections that are a little more measured. And I think there are also, in particular, I'm trying to find good examples. Yeah, actually, bar 2 is quite a good example. Non credo del mio cor. So you have actually with bella, even you have 4 quarter notes in a row. Bella non credo del. And I think we must resist the temptation to have all, to have all 4 quarter notes of them have the same length.
okay.
So if you could just do it again, and where you feel like the sentence, the phrase wants to take you ahead, wants to take you forward, follow it.
Okay.
And Maestro Jorge will follow you too.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, very nice. Very, 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 very nice. Now, if you listen or look at the first bars, you have Amari, so a dotted half note, and then dolce resi in bar 3, also dotted half note. Desser 2, the same in bar 4. If I may challenge the two of you to actually think of 3 different lengths almost of that. If I may, I hope I'm not derailing here, but there is a concept that may be worthwhile sharing. Talking about those quarter notes, bella, non, credo, from the outside, they all have the same value, which is a quarter note. And in the Baroque times, they were aware of that as well and called that the quantitas extrinsica, so the extrinsic quantity of it, the outside value, if you want. But at the same time, they were talking of an intrinsic value of the note, which can be different, even though the outside value is the same. And if you look here, bella, that's a very light syllable, right? Non is also, well, it's an important word, but non credio. I would say credio, so the C is actually the longest of those 4 quarter notes, if you want. And the la, the bella, could be the shortest or lightest. And in a phrase sense, that's also the case for amarilli. And excuse me for taking your time there, but it is ultimately something that you need to do, because there are always many answers. The first dotted half note, amarilli, is on the word, the most important word. And then dolce desio, sweet desire, right? Desser tu l'amor mio. If you look at the last time, let's start with the last time. Desser tu l'amor mio, sorry. So to be of you, to be for you, my love. Yes. So do you think tu is more important or desser? That would be my question. Desser tu or desser tu?
I think the two is more important.
I think so too. What do you think about dolce desio?
Desio, because it's like it's wishing for it, or
yeah, I think this may well be the case. In this case I could imagine both, actually, dolce desio and desio. And for the beginning, I believe it's clear, even though it's not the strong syllable, amarilli, the rilli is the strong syllable. It's very important. So in particular for the last time, where desser tu is the important word, I think just get over the desser tu l'amor mi, and so on. And yeah, could we start it one more time, just with a little bit of variety in that?
Yes.
very nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you try it one more time? And I believe between the very beginning,
Yes,
Amarili mia bella, non credo del mio cor, is already a little bit of a change. So
okay.
I don't know how to put it in words, but if you kind of look at it more generally, not note per note and rhythm per rhythm, but then the beginning is Amarilli mia bella, non credo del mio cor dolce di. So there seems to be a little bit more talking, like Amarilli mia bella, non credi. It's a little more sottovoce, if you want, almost. And then the dolce di zio is again more of a great. And could you start it one more time and then go on? And I believe everything after that opening is actually also more you are accounting almost. It's possible that you are a little fearful, you know, but don't worry. So it's not like the beginning, which is very sung and very introductory, you know, it's a big introduction. I think everything after Credilo pur could be, if you want, lighter, more for the text, perhaps even a little quicker, a little more forward, all of that.
Okay.
Could we start it one more time? Thank you so much. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I forgot to mention that before. Entirely my mistake. I think this is also one of the songs where it's important to keep in mind that you actually start singing with the intake of breath.
Okay.
So just think of that first note and the roots, if you want, that note needs, and think of the vowel also, and Jorge will breathe with you, right? And I hope I won't regret that, but if you are behind the piano, if you are later than the chord, I don't mind. It's actually a trick many singers do, right? So just, yeah, think of the beginning of the phrase is the intake of breath, really.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. Jorge, for you in bar 9, on that C harmony, so the 1, 2, 3, the fourth quarter note, if you want, in that bar. I actually usually play C major there. I know it's a little it's a little off, but as I said before, it's not really G minor, the piece. It goes back and forth a little bit, and I find the C major a little stronger here, because Isabella, that also applies to you. Prendi questo mio strale. That phrase, aprimi il pietto e vedrai, is very, very, I guess you could say, melodramatic, right? You may be fearful, but believe the glimmer in my eyes, basically, right? And open my breast, you know, to look at my heart. So it's very it's a little over the top.
Yes.
And I think you can show that, you know. I think fun of the poetry is that, yes, it's all about love and all about unhappy love, but there are so many aspects, right? And so many ways of saying it. Could we just do it from Credilo Pur, please?
Scritto in cuore, amori, amori, il mio
Yes, very nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I believe we need to move on. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jennifer. We have a Jennifer.
Hi.
She's from her house. So Jennifer, are you ready?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Sí.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. I want to make I want to apologize a bit for not being in school and being accompanied by Jorge, our great pianist. I got surgery a few weeks ago, so I can't move a lot, but I'm gonna try my best to do it a cappella.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing it. I hope the surgery is fine and you're recovering well.
Thank you very much. As the maestras tell, I am Jennifer Gonzalez. I have 23 years old and I am in 3rd semester. And today I'm gonna sing the prologue of Orfeo by Monteverdi. La fama, excelsi pregi, perché trovato il se cassar, canto al piacenti, so far tranquillo, ogni turbato angeli fra queste piante e sotto in queste rive sonante alto gnoretta in Sfogava soresti. That was it.
Thank you very much. Brave to do it. It's also hard to do it without those little ritornellos in between, right? Those
Yes.
little instrumental.
As a guide.
Yes, it is a guide, and it is actually also it is actually quite important for the structure of the piece. Did you pick that piece, or your teacher?
I showed it to my teacher, and he told me that it was good as a Baroque for the period.
It's a good pick. It's actually I don't know how to put that in words. It looks more harmless than it is. It is actually if you go a little deeper into it, it's quite it can tell us quite a lot about the music. So perhaps let's talk about first about the context, if you want, of it. So it's from which opera?
It's from Orfeo by Monteverdi.
By Monteverdi. So the big first big opera that we usually refer to. But as I mentioned earlier with the first student, Caccini actually, and even a little earlier, even though I'm not quite sure because they were sort of competitors, his colleague, I believe, Jacopo Peri, I believe is his name. They both actually wrote the first opera, if you want, on on the same topic like Orfeo. However, their piece is called Euridice, so it's the female character, main character, giving the title. Interestingly, they also have a prologue, so it starts also with a symphony, a prologue, and then the action starts. And do you happen to know who is the character in their prologue in both Caccini and Peri's? It's a tragedia, so tragedy. The tragedy is doing the prologue there and introducing the audience to the story, the very sad story that's going to unfold in front of them. But here it's la musica.
Music, yes.
Music. And what is the story of Orfeo?
I would put it in words as it's an introduction, but it's her singing as why she's sharing, well, her music to these heroes like Orfeo, which is like the main character, and like telling about it's so little of the story of Orfeo, but it's a brief introduction to who he is and why he's the hero of the.
Yes, exactly. And what is the magic power of Orfeo? What is his?
It's taming beasts
and by what? By doing what?
By playing.
Yeah, or singing, right? So
singing.
by actually he is playing and accompanying himself. That's true. But so it's the power of music. So that's the important thing that in particular in Monteverdi's take on that myth of Euridice, the important thing is the power of music. Music has the power to tame the beasts, to comfort every pain, to change the world, really. So it's really an opera about music, and I think the interesting thing about Monteverdi's take is that he puts that in the foreground, not the myth. It's really and a hint, a signal, a sign for that is that La Musica does the prologue. And another interesting thing, and I actually, if you have the time, yes. An interesting thing is also look those pieces by Caccini and Peri, look them up, because the prologue there fits on one page. It's basically like a chorale in church. So you have a melody and then 4 verses or 5 verses underneath that melody. I don't think that necessarily means that they didn't accommodate and didn't adjust the tune to the melody a little bit, but both Caccini and Peri leave it to the musician, to the singer to do that. However, Monteverdi gives us very, very specific indications. And I think that is the most interesting aspect about this piece. So let's look at this piece now. Dal mio permesso amato a voi ne vengo. Let's look at those first 3 bars. Look at your beginning, and then look at the first 3 bars of Io la musica son che dolci accenti. Do you see similarities? Do you see differences?
Rhythmic similarities, I would say, some.
Yeah, and also if you think about the melody, if you want, so it starts with a D, it ends on an A.
Yes, it's the beginning is very similar.
It's very similar. Let's look at the beginning of the 3rd verse. Io sul te t'adoro cantando solio.
That changes a bit, but the tune, like
actually, let's look at the next one again. Quinci a dirvi d'Orfeo. Here, it's very much like the beginning.
Like the first ones, yeah.
Yeah. So you see how they all are related and how basically one is a variation of the other.
Yes.
And how at the same time they pay tribute, if you want, to the words and to the specific context that we have. So let's actually, before we look at the first verse, let's look at the second one. Io la musica son, che dolci accenti. So the very, very beginning, dal mio permesso, you have the chord first, and then you start singing a little while. Dal mio permesso amato. However, io, here you start on the downbeat with I.
With the chord.
Yeah, and with the word I am music. Io la musica son. So I think this is already very interesting. And while you're beginning, the very beginning, dal mio permesso amato seems to be more about a voi ne vengo, about the end, because the beginning is pretty rhythmicized and more about dal mio permesso amato. It's more speaking, if you want.
Okay.
Io la musica son. Very different rhythm. And again, in the first verse, a voi ne vengo, versus kai dolci accenti. So he flips the C and the instead of the ya da da dam, you have ya ba ba dim. He flips the tune a little bit.
Yes.
But what does he do with that? He gives a little more accent on kai dolci accenti, right? The dolci is more important because it's a little higher. Kai dolci accenti. And then let's stay with that verse, the second one. Could you translate for us? I am music, kai dolci accenti. What does that mean?
It means have it here. It kind of means like I am the music that with sweet accents knows how to tame hearts, something like that.
Yeah, so far, tranquillo, so I know, far, how to make, tranquillo, tranquil, ogni turbato core, every heart that's in stirred up, you know, it's whatever. Ed or di nobilire d'amore posso inflammare le più gelate menti, and I can inflame the most icy minds, le più gelate menti. Error di nobilira e nor di amore posso infiammar. I can posso infiammar le più gelate menti. You're staying on one note there when you say the iciest minds, right? So because the music cannot move anymore, it's frozen. The music is frozen as well.
Okay.
So those are just a few examples to unlock, if you want, how to approach that piece. Because it's, while it's a strophic song, if you want,
yes,
it's not at the same time, because each verse is very, very different. And therefore, it needs to be treated very much word by word, I would say. One thing in general, it's not happening in the first verse. In the second verse, where you no, sorry, it's not. It's actually it's much later. Just a second, I'm a little. Actually, it's only in your verse quinci a dirvi d'Orfeo, Desium is prona. It's only there where you have a C sharp. D'Orfeo che trasse al suo contar le fere. Here it's a C sharp. All the other times it needs to be a C natural.
Okay.
I don't know whether your edition maybe indicates that the wrong way, but it's always C natural, except
only
that
there. Yes.
And again, I think this is not an accident because it's on the word cantar, which is again what the entire opera is about, right?
Yes.
So I know this is a lot of information, and maybe we should actually focus we should focus on, let me just find on two verses. Let's focus on the second verse, Io la musica son, and on the very last one, because that gives us a lot of indication.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about it, but with that in mind, if you would do again, please, Io la musica son.
Yes.
Sto for tranquillo, ogni turbato cor. E torna velina, torna amore, si infiammar, le più gelate menti.
Yes, I can't quite tell with the microphones and but le più gelate menti, that sounded a little open to me. And ogni turbato, I'm not sure I heard that correct. Ogni turbato core. And then for the very first word, the Italian word is io, obviously. So the stressed syllable is e, and o is. So I would go to the o of io a little later. Io la musica. I think the leading, the carrier vowel is e, io la musica. And the last comment I would have is, yes, it is in the whole, I was just about to say, yes, it is a recit, and no, it's not a recit. The specific feature to that style is actually what the composers themselves refer to as recitar cantando or cantar recitando. So you are singingly reciting or recitingly singing. And it's hard to tell where the lines are. What I mean by that, I would not look at Monteverdi like a secco recit by Handel, where the rhythms are not very important, really. I think Monteverdi is a little more specific. So, for instance, excuse me, la musica son. So musica son, it's a quarter and 2/8 notes. It's not just la musica io son or io la musica son, la musica son.
Very
And
precise.
yeah, and also it's not so far tranquillo, but so far tranquillo. So the so is actually a quarter note pickup. And I'm not insinuating so far, that it needs to be counted out, but I think he indicates to us with what kind of value he chooses, what he wants. So even far tranquillo ogni turba, the quillo are quarter notes because it's calm and quiet, and ogni turba, every perturbated heart, is 8th notes because it's a little more heated, if you want. And then the postio infamar is very long, actually. Ed ordi nobile ira, or d'amore postio infamar. It's really, really long. And I don't think you need to hold it precisely, the length he has written it. And then le più gelate. For this, I think you can do a little bit of word painting if you want, le più gelate menti, even the iciest minds, you wouldn't say that even the iciest minds, you would say even the iciest, probably a little coarse, a little slower, a little that kind of stuff. And just translate that into the music, because really the goal is to, sorry, I hope I'm not derailing again, but there was no blueprint. They invented opera. There was nothing to refer to. What could they do? So they needed to invent something that works like spoken speech, like actors interacting, but at the same time that works as music. And that's a very difficult task to fulfill. And this is, if you want, the experimental stage of it. So really, do it one more time, please, with a long E or for the beginning, and then yeah, exactly. So really follow his indications there.
Okay.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, the connection is not too good, but that works great. For the very last time, we don't really have time to go through it, but let's just look at it. That's already good already. Or mentre canti alterno. So while I'm singing here joyful and sad songs, non si muova Augelin fra queste piante. So you have those little quarter notes rests here. And again, non si muova, not moving, is even a bird in all these, you know, with so it's again the meaning of what you're saying is sort of translated into music. So it's very, very exciting, actually. Queste piante, do it in my range, sorry. And one can't hear in queste rivonda sonante, and so on. So very sotto voce, right? It's like you are taking a hike and you arrive at a beautiful spot. You don't arrive there and say, "Oh, it's so nice and quiet here." You know, you would go and be quiet yourself, right? Because it's so. And each little air et ogni auretta in suo cammin saresti, and every little breeze of wind stops on its path. And again, et ogni auretta in suo cammin saresti. Musically, the stopping of the air is achieved that you don't have a cadence, because in suo cammin saresti, it should cadence, right, to A, but you stay there on the dominant, you know. And then even more interestingly enough, the ritornello that follows starts in D minor again, which is the full version of the ritornello, because in between all your other versions, it always starts in A minor, so 2 bars later, so to speak. So the whole thing is really a piece of art with the ritornellos and with the thing. So excellent choice, beautiful, and something that a piece that we can learn incredibly much from. For many reasons, but mostly, I think, because Monteverdi is so specific and so diligent with how he shapes the music and changes the music with the changing context, so that the music actually fits the words like a glove, the hand, right? It's like it's skin tight, if you want. It's really it's quite cool, actually. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It's great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And our last student is Mirka Huerta. Are you ready? Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Minta is your name. Did I hear that correct?
Mirka, yeah.
Mirka, sorry, Mirka.
Tough one, I know.
Yeah. I have, you do Pur di Cesti by Lotti, right?
Excuse me?
The piece you are doing is Pur di Cesti by Antonio Lotti, right?
No, I'm going to sing E pur così in un giorno.
Ah, okay.
Però la sorte mia by Handel.
Ah, okay, sorry. Oh, right. Yes, exactly. And are you doing the recit as well?
Yes.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Mirka, do you have an idea of where in the opera that aria stands? Do you have an outline of the role and where it happens?
I don't know the whole role, but I do know it's in the third act, I guess.
Yeah. So it's I mean, while the opera is called Giulio Cesare, it should actually be called Cleopatra, because it's really about that character. It's not about Caesar, yes, but he actually is a side role. This is really about that character. It's all about her plan. And she has basically two goals in life. One is to become the queen of Egypt, and one is to control Caesar, to be the empress of Rome at the same time. And at this point in the story, in Act 3, third scene, as you say, it seems like everything she was hoping for in her life is not happening, because Cesare, who she thinks, or she actually got him, she seduced him, and he's on her side, but she thinks that he died at this point, right? She thinks he fell out of a window. I can't remember what it is, but the one big thing is she's losing that fight. And the other thing is to become the queen of Egypt. She needs to after basically getting rid of her brother Ptolemy, she needs to win a battle, and it looks like she is losing that battle too. And so the absolute defeat of everything she's standing for and she's interested in her life is actually that moment. And Handel finds, I think, a masterful way of reflecting that and using the da capo aria, because the absolute sadness and the helplessness is in the A section, and that she's losing the battle and the anger and the madness about that is in the B section. Before we actually go a little bit for the recit first, because the recit needs to put you into that mode, let's talk about one aspect about the aria. If you imagine yourself in that situation, so everything you have been hoping for in your life is lost. There's everything about you that you wanted to conceal is found out. Everything you, every lie, that you could keep is gone. And you imagine yourself in that opera. And the stage director is going to stage that scene, that aria, Piangerò. How would you imagine yourself on stage?
Alone.
Upstage, downstage, stage right, stage left. Do you want other people on stage? Do you have ideas about that? What?
I don't know how to say it in English, but I know that there are parts who are like stronger to be on stage, like at the center.
Yeah.
And I think she will be just there.
Yeah, no, I understand. This is great. This is great. I actually like that. I like that idea. It's a very honest moment, right? It's a very true moment. And while the staging of Baroque opera, very often people are staged in a way that they are turned, or let's say that the head is turned one way, but their body is turned the other way. So very often in Baroque staging, you find a twist or a sort of a balance between, let's say, arm and leg and all of that. And hardly ever you see a character really up front staging, talking to the audience, if you want. And I actually can see that as one of those arias, because you are naked, you know, there's nothing to hide anymore. But at the same time, I think if you think about a virtual scenery, I think you are alone in that moment. I think there is nobody there. And all the other people, even they could even be on stage, but they don't matter, you know, because it's a very existential moment in that way. And there's nobody to help you, and there's actually also nobody to sing to, if that makes sense. There's not even an audience to sing to. You know, it's so low. Especially the A section of the aria, it hardly ever touches the passaggio even, you know, and it's so there must be a reason. And I think the reason is that there's no point in keeping any mask up, any makeup, any nice dresses. You know, it's you may as well sit there in a cloth. You know, because it's all done. If we could spend a little bit of time before we go to the aria on the recit, because I think the recit needs to get you from the point where you realize this is the end to the point where you feel that's the end, which is where the aria is. So all over the recit, I think it certainly after your Dio non resta alcuna speme. All of that is al viver mio. All of that is already hopeless. So I really don't think that the recit needs to be strong and agitated to the end. I think it's the opposite. You need to find a way to use the recit from, oh my goodness, to yeah, it's the end, really. And it happens really in those 12 bars that you have for that. Would you give that a try? Just the recit first.
Yeah.
Da capo? Sì, recitativo.
E porco se un giorno perdo fasti e grandezze, fatto rio Cesare il mio bel nome, e forse stinto Cornelia.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But Cesare il mio bel nome e forse stinto. So you are saying Caesar, my God, il mio bel nome, he is probably dead, right? So I think e forse stinto Cornelia e sesto. That's a new sentence, and I think you need to stay with the sentences here. Also, two tiny language things. Così, it's just one S, so così, and also Cesare. The first syllable is long. The first vowel is long, and only one S. Also, would you do the beginning one more time, please?
Un giorno perdo fasti e grandezze.
Yes. Yeah, very nice. That was very dramatic, Mirka. Great, beautiful. Also, I liked the liberty that you that you took. E forse istinto Cornelia, e sesto inermi. You know, it's more like spoken and great, great pacing, really. I would like to ask you to try. Let's do the recit one more time and then go on into the aria. Yeah. But to try a different take on odio, non resta, because yes, it is a diminished seventh and it's a painful chord if you want, but I believe it's already, oh God, there is no hope. So it's not, oh God, there is no hope, right? I think it's one sentence already. So a little more internal, if you could try that. And then one last thing, non resta alcuna speme al viver mio. So I wouldn't lengthen that too much. I think it's stronger if it's not too sung, if that makes sense, the end of that recit. So a little more. Could you try one more time the recit? And if you could move the entire beginning, e pur così in un giorno perdo fasti e gradezze hai fatto rio. I believe that's the first important statement. And the first three bars could also be leading towards that a little more, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's do one more time the rest and going into the aria, please. Thank you.
Un giorno perdo fasti e grandezze hai fatto rio Cesare il mio bel nome e forse stento Cornelia e sesto enormi son nessuno darmi soccorso
Yes, very nice. Thank you very much. I believe that you can indulge much more in your pain, if that makes sense, in the role, without being outwards about it. And I think the device here is the language, again, it's the words. So, piangero, and then piange, especially for the E, you know, there's after the pia, the main vowel, the R, there's still the N to enjoy, and he gives you a hint with that rhythm, I believe. So piangero, but piangero. There's even more time for the iange, for all those beautiful all those beautiful sounds, really. So can we start right on the aria, and then after the second, piangerò la sorte mia. Don't worry about la sorte mia. I think it's about the piangerò much more than about. Can we do right on the aria, please?
Piangerò
Excellent. I actually would practice that with a high F sharp. And then even though it's a low F sharp, it should feel like the most important note, if it makes sense, and everything else is comes from that. Could I ask for two things? For once, for the beginning, I find your a of piangero sounds a little sad, but I think it would make the whole thing sadder if you could actually smile on that. Does that make sense? Almost smile. So it's not piangero, but it's piangero. So it's actually, I think the vowel is still bright. It's still a bright A, piangero. And and could you really feel crudele in the dele? Don't worry about the dotted rhythm there. I think it's more about the full length vowel. Enjoy the vowels. So could we do the beginning one more time and think of a happy piangero, if that makes sense?
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Very nice, very nice, very good, beautiful, beautiful. It was much better the pitch. Let's just, we are actually at the end, but let's just do a little bit of the B section, if that's possible. I think more important than volume for the B section is that you are very, very early there. So I would really make sure that here your vowels come on the beat. So il tiranno, il nottigiorno. There's a lot of consonants that you need to get out of the way before the beat. So be very, very early and very active, and don't worry about volume. Okay. It's written really well, and it will come through even for those coloraturas, right? Because Jorge has eighth notes there. It's very open. You do not need to work for the effect, if that makes sense. It can actually be. It will be more powerful if you don't work for it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Shall we do just a little bit of the B section?
Yeah.
Ma poi morta d'ogni intorno il tirano e notte e giorno fatto spettro agiterò fatto spettro agiterò.
Absolutely, yes, yes. That's the right the spirit. So I don't know how to put that in words, but in your defeat, you're actually still powerful there. It's a little bit of a Medea moment. So it's it's in a weird way, if that makes sense. To me, the B section is actually more of a comfort. Even though it's also desperate, you know, but the beauty of the A section in its bareness, you know, that's the really the really lonely spot. So yeah, beautiful, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for this masterclass, wonderful masterclass, dear Alexander. We hope you see you again with more projects and concerts, maybe here in Monterrey, why not? Special thanks for Gus Denhard for all your support. Gus, thank you for this great masterclass. And Alex, can you share us your upcoming projects and where can we find more information about your work and the Early Music Seattle work?
Well, go on the Early Music Seattle website. It's really easy to find if you Google Early Music Seattle. As so many groups, of course, we had to cease our usual activities, but for instance, this masterclass was one of our attempts to still do something, and I'm very, very grateful. So thanks for having me. It was a big pleasure and a big honor for me. Yeah, Early Music Seattle, you will find all the activities also of the orchestra there, and that would be the easiest way.
Thank you, Alex. And well, thank you al gran equipo que tenemos de difusión, maestro Jorge Martínez. Gracias, maestro. Maestra Lisa, que fue nuestro enlace con Gus Denhard. Y bueno, pues muchas gracias también a los maestros de canto. Y bueno, seguimos con más actividades aquí en la Facultad de Música. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful masterclass, Alex. And well, I hope see you again.
So do I hope as well, and I hope to see you not only virtually, but really. But thanks a lot, and all stay well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias a todas, a todo el equipo también, Alex, a Alejandro Benavides y también Jorge Blanco por su apoyo en todo lo de multimedia. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Bye bye. Thank you.